Do you know what all these countries have in common? They are all branded as the enemies of the internet. Maintained by Reporters Without Borders, Enemies of the Internet is a list of countries with the most oppressive censorship and surveillance capabilities and practices. And in 2014, 3 democracies made it into the list for the first time ever: India, the United States, and the United Kingdom. The UK entered the list as the world champion of surveillance for their capability to collect 25% of global internet traffic. No other nation in the world is able to tap into more data than the UK government. With legal boundaries on free speech and privacy unimaginable to US citizens, the UK is on the verge of becoming the first digital dictatorship in the Western world.
A lot of changes in the United Kingdom as far as government. We have a new PM, but a lot of people do not trust this particular PM because, unfortunately, he's looking towards censorship. And the bills that were on board prior could come back into the fold again, which would lock out a lot of websites, a lot of content, and would change the face of the democracy in the United Kingdom. But before we start, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Thank you for those who've tuned in. Thank you for sharing on them. We're just, if we haven't hit it yet, we should be at 600 by now. Last I looked, we were, when the time of this recording, we were about 7 out. And it's really, really good. Let's push on and let's get past that 600. Maybe within the month we can get to 700. It would be really, really nice to open up the new year with about 700 subscribers. I really do appreciate it. And also, those of you who are watching it on our other social media platforms, do also hit that subscription button so we can move up on there. BitChute, I know we can get to 200. We can get to 100 on Rumble and Odyssey as well. So, we've talked about legislation with digital rights, free speech, Children's Protection Acts and stuff like that. There is a new prime minister, as I said before, in the United Kingdom. That's Prime Minister Rishi, and if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I do apologize, Sunak. And this one is a controversial choice on here. And basically, this could be harmful to content and really on there. We're going to read this off of XBiz from London. UK new Tory government backpedals from plan to censor legal but harmful content. Yeah, he's trying to backpedal the whole situation, but, got to be ever vigilant. The new UK Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, has indicated that his Tory government will backpedal from the controversial language in the proposed online safety bill, which would have required online services to remove content that some MPs considered legal but harmful, including most pornography. This week, several UK news outlets, including The Sun, a Rupert Murdoch-owned tabloid, which backs the Conservatives, that Sunak will bring back the online safety bill this month, but will ditch the legal but harmful clause amid freedom of speech fears. Sunak, the second Tory politician attempting to form a government following the collapse of Boris Johnson's government earlier this summer and the non-starter debacle of Liz Truss's attempt, has ordered Culture Secretary Michelle Dolan to get to work on bringing online safety bill back to the House of Commons with a string of amendments. Sunak has told insiders he wants to make the promised new laws a priority for his new government, The Sun reported. Free speech and digital right advocates around the world have denounced provisions of bills as vague, apt to be misinterpreted, and likely to lead to broad self-censorship by overcautious service providers and platforms. Yesterday, UK Centre for Data Innovation issued the following from senior policy analyst Kiri Nuthi. I want to commend the Prime Minister Sunak and his cabinet for committing to remove some of the worst provisions in the bill that would limit free expression. The requirements for certain online platforms to monitor and remove legal but harmful content were too broad and risky politicizing, which content would be restricted in the UK. Removing this provision from the scope of the online safety bill is a step forward, protecting free expression. Unfortunately, the safety bill still needs work. Until the amendment online safety bill protects encrypted communications, the online safety bill will continue to be a broken piece of legislation. As XBIS reported in August, the controversial online safety was removed from the House of Commons schedule. The last debate before the postponement include a motion by anti-porn activist and Labor MD Dame Dinah Johnson, chair of the Home Affairs Committee, to insert amendments that, in her words, would place legal duty on online platforms hosting pornographic content to combat and remove illegal content through the specific and targeted measures of verifying the age and consent of every individual featured in the pornographic content on their sites. There's a little bit more to this, but you get the gist of the whole situation. This is a danger still. The online safety bills are, and they're trying to push some here as well. These are a danger. And a lot of these bills would violate the Constitution, especially like in the United States. It would. Because you're telling the social media platform is that they have to police. A lot of these online have policed their sites. You can't get everything every time. You're going to have people trying to sneak in. But hear this out before we go any further on this. There have been people that have been, and we had article. We read an article which was to the protection of children online, what you could do, and we had mentioned it has to come from the parent mostly, the family, because basically you could put as many filters, many ways to check for age and consent and stuff like that. You're not going to get it all. And the article that I brought up before, and it was talking about that you have to go further on that. The person who wrote the article said that he asked a lot of the young people, where do they find this content? And the first things they say, it's Instagram and TikTok. A lot of the lower social media platforms that are non-pornographic. That's where they get their porn from. Sites that aren't porn. Okay? TikTok is a major problem. There is a push by certain politicians here in the United States and the FCC to shut access to TikTok in the United States. Now you may say to yourself, well, you speak for free speech. TikTok is not for free speech. It is not. It is a propaganda mill. It's used as propaganda and a danger to children. We've seen a good amount of deaths. We've had a car accident under the Kia challenge that's been going on. Then we have the choking challenge and many others that have harmed our children online for doing it. And there are a slew of lawsuits on the table right now, getting on top of TikTok for what they've done. Understand that TikTok is owned by the Chinese government. Even though it's owned by a company, it's still run by the Chinese government. We need to shut these things down. This is what the problem is. It is propaganda. Go look at a lot of the World War II footage of children in Germany. Look at how they're teaching them. This is the same thing that they're doing to our children right now. This is the same thing. The Chinese are doing the same thing what the Germans did. They're trying to indoctrinate our children. But yet most of these countries, they're policing. They say they want to get rid of the porn and stuff like that. It's hurting our children, child trafficking, but they're not doing the right things, not the right laws. Child trafficking is a major issue around the world but you're not stopping it where it starts. Get to the places where the worst of it on there. There was a time, and you can look this up, at the end of slavery in the Americas and in most of Europe. What did they do? France and the United Kingdom sent warships to Africa to block other ships leaving the African continent, bringing slaves to other countries like the Middle East and South America and Asia. You know, we got to go back and do stuff like this again. We got to sit down as a multi-country force to combat the drugs and the trafficking that's going on around the world. You know, this has to be stopped. You're not going to stop them by shutting down websites. All you're doing is you're impeding the freedom of people to put information online. You're closing off the world. That is what you're doing. You start at the porn, and then you start to go on and on. And I said this in a video before. The Simpsons episode, Marge with the Itchy and Scratchy cartoons. She wanted to stop that. She stopped that. After that, the group that helped her said, you know, we need to stop them from going to see David, the statue of David in an art museum. I said, what's wrong with David? You know, it's a work of art. See, the thing about it is, this is where you start. You start at the one that you politicize heavy. You deem it, you call it child pornography, and it's not child pornography. There's child pornography within the range, within the dark portions of it. People try to sneak some in there. The companies try to do the best. These companies don't want that type of material on there. Take it from someone who has seen what actions are taken when something like this occurs in their company. And I date myself back to my days in the adult industry and the day when the world found out that Tracy Lords was underage when she made most of her films. The company I worked with several companies that produced her films, and we edit some of them and put them on video, VHS at the time, during the VHS era. When my boss found out, he came into the production room and he said, he told all of us, pull every reel we have, every master 3/4 inch, 1 inch reels, pack them up, get them prepped to be shipped back to the production company. Anything that is on VHS at this time is to be erased immediately. And I'll tell you, we had to erase a bulk of tapes at that time. Something like about over 500,000 tapes got erased that day. Completely blanked, because we had those magnetic erasers at the time, and we had to run them right through the machine. And this is what happened. We did not want any of this in the company, because companies will sit there, as far as their bottom line, they do not want, as an American company, you don't want the FBI knocking down your door saying like, okay, where's the child pornography? You don't want that. And you think these companies say, well, they're making money, all this. They're making enough money to keep their companies rolling. They don't need child pornography to do that. But they have. I've seen it. And say, yeah, really. Point out where you've seen it. If you're online looking at this, you're probably looking at the ones where the actresses are in their 20s, very young looking, and they're playing cheerleaders and Girl Scouts and stuff like that. That's not child pornography. That is you're in costume or cosplay type. That is not child pornography. They're doing fantasy. And the thing about it is, as every video, as the adult industry puts out, everyone in these videos are over the age of 18, certified within the law, an ID. He said, but what about Tracy Lords? She got in. She got in with a fake ID. And remember, this was the 70s and 80s period. You know, the adult industry was just getting to full steam. And the thing about it is, you know, you had guys like Larry Flint and many others that have been arrested, tried, and ended up winning their cases later on. Some of them went to jail. Harry Reams, arrested. This goes back to 1974. The FBI had arrested him on federal charges of conspiracy to distribute obscenity across state lines. This is before, and the convictions were overturned later. That's why we had the Miller test. That was changed, you know, and then we had that video back that says to remove the Miller test. They want to, you know, this is censorship. It's censorship to that situation because they're deeming what is obscene. What you consider as obscene is not the same as what I consider obscene. And this goes, and like I said, it starts at pornography. Remember, before the Miller test, they were arresting comedians. Lenny Bruce and George Carlin were arrested on obscenity rules. You know, before the Miller test, there were other rules. There's a whole line. When you one time, take a moment, go back and look at the history of obscenity throughout the United States and the laws that change it. I think we went through 8 or 9 laws before we got to the Miller test. Now you have politicians that they want to eliminate them, go back to the pre-1973 standards. And that would be the most ridiculous thing to ever do, because you see what has happened because before the Miller's test. And like I said, Harry Reams was one person that got caught, arrested because he was moving adult films across state lines, Deep Throat and all these other films that have gone across state lines at that time period. They were illegal. Because what some people, the Puritans, what they thought, you know, are you going to be judged by what a small group of people determine to what you want to watch, what you want to read, what comedy show, comedian you want to listen to or go to see, what music? That's what's in store for. That's what it's in store for when you hear stuff like this. So in the comments below, tell me your thoughts on the situation on there. Are you know, because I know I have people in the United Kingdom. I would like especially to hear from you guys overseas in the United Kingdom. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this especially. So don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.